Everything is built on influence. Therefore, to sell anything, you must master your art of persuading others. Let's start with the truth. Sales isn't about products or features. It's about emotions. Every decision someone makes is tied to a feeling they want or one they want to avoid. Gerald Zaltman, a Harvard professor, found that 95% of the decisions we make are subconsciously based on emotional drivers, not logic. Just think about it. Men have desire and lust. Women crave beauty. The elderly fear losing their health. Children chase curiosity. And the overweight, they crave fitness, but what they really want is respect. These aren't just needs or desires, they're emotional drivers. Master this and you master influence. Ignore it and you're irrelevant. Let's define what an influencer is. It's not about TikTok followers or brand deal. It's your ability to change emotions and by extension, changing behavior. When I was doing real estate wholesaling, that was a big part. Working with sellers that are in foreclosure or having the county knock on their door, a lot of people are on edge. I wasn't offering to buy houses. I was selling urgency, but urgency isn't an emotion, it's a trigger. The real emotion these people felt was stress. Their cortisol levels were spiking because they felt trapped or overwhelmed. Once I understood that frame of mind, approaching and handling conversations were like clockwork. I knew not to be on the edge of my seat and make them feel more anxious, but to calm them down. To ask them questions about why they were feeling this sense of urgency. They're going to work with me because they want relief, not more stress. Lesson 1. People don't buy workouts, diets, or contracts. They buy the emotion that backs all of them. Let's talk about consistency. The emotion you're targeting must align with your message or you're gonna be lost. For example, if you're running an Instagram page called Happy Dogs, then people wanna see happy dogs. You should post heartwarming adoption videos, people cuddling up with their pets or doing tricks. Your audience probably feels joy, serotonin release, and probably even a little bit of love. Now, imagine you post a snarling chihuahua that's barking back at its owner. What happens? Well, psychologically, someone's used to receiving a response and a good feeling when they go on your page. And all of a sudden, when you post that snarling dog, that emotional tie is broken. It's not about the name, it's about the feeling. When you break the feeling from people's expectations, they lose interest. The same concept applies across different industries. Take OnlyFans, for example. It thrives on one of the most primal emotions, lust. Lust is powerful. It sells fast and sells big, but it's a double-edged sword. A person that makes a ton of money on OnlyFans will do very well and they will sell quickly, but they will face societal judgment because lust is deemed as an emotion that is negative, and therefore people associate their content as being negative to the world. Here's the takeaway. Negative emotions, lust, loneliness, fear, are quick to convert, but they harm you in the long term if you overuse them. Resentment will breed, so play the game wisely. Now, let me flip the script. In order to influence emotions, you must first remove your own. When I'm selling now, I don't get emotional like I used to. I get analytical. Why? Because emotional decisions often cloud your judgment. How many times have you been in an argument with a parent, loved one, or friend, and you've said something you didn't necessarily like on the back end? Research backs this up. People with damaged emotional processing struggle to make decisions, according to neuroscientist Antonio Damasio. Basically saying, if your control of your emotions is not in check, your decisions are not going to be the best for you. That's the paradox. Emotions drive us, but we must control ours to control how others take theirs. How do they feel? How do they want to feel? And finally, how can you bridge the gap between the two? The best way to do this? Ask questions. For example, 1. How has this situation been making you feel lately? Number 2, if you could have this situation or problem resolved, what would that look like for you? Where would you want to be on the other side? And finally, to bridge the gap, would you agree that our product could help cross that bridge from getting you where you are now to that point you just mentioned? Literally just reframing the same questions. Now, let's get tactical. You can influence people in many ways. But is it better to start with fame or money? If you're gonna really succeed to live the best life possible, you probably want some degree of each. But the path depends on your strengths. Fame builds audiences quicker, but can be harder to monetize. But it also requires less upfront. Money builds control and flexibility, and an easier chance at fame, but it takes longer to grow. Take Elon Musk. He doesn't sell Teslas. Elon is Tesla. His fame alone drives billions in revenue. Remember when he tweeted about Dogecoin and the price skyrocketed? Yeah, That's the influence a person can have on a market. The fastest way to start, focus on people, not brands. People trust people. You can have a logo for your business page, but you should be behind the camera, or find someone that wants to be. Even better, use your personal account. You've already built a following every time you post on Instagram or Snapchat. Everyone's famous in some degree because you have followers, and these people know you and follow you. Start using that influence intentionally. A lot of times the people you know best and have spent your life connecting with are probably gonna be your first customers if they relate to your product. Now let's pivot. Why do people go to the gym? Is it for their health? Well, most might say yes, but that's not really the reason. It's for respect. It's for validation. It's for the admiration they get when someone does a double take at their physique because they've put in the work to become that person. That's the emotion you target. You post about better health tips, crickets. You're posting about six packs, confidence, and desire and attention, engagement skyrockets. This is emotional targeting in action, and it works because of your brain's reward system. Dopamine, the feel-good transmitter, gets spiked. And it doesn't happen when you get the reward, it happens when you anticipate a reward. That's why social media is so dangerous, because you see something that excites you, and that's what's releasing dopamine. You don't actually have to be doing it yourself. So the excuse of, well, it's just on my phone, it's not like I'm actually doing this, it doesn't matter. But as a salesman, your job is to trigger that anytime you engage with anyone. Show people the results that they're gonna get, and then they'll justify it on the back end with the logic. How often should you sell? Well, the answer depends on the strength of the emotional driver. For example, someone running an OnlyFans can probably sell the same day they start, because lust is an intense emotional trigger, and somebody wants to pay for that because it's a very strong emotion to have. A fitness coach needs a little bit more time. Why? Because respect is tied to self-esteem, which is higher on the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The hierarchy of needs is critical to understand. People prioritize their needs and the emotions behind them like this. First, physiological: food, water, shelter. Second, safety, stability, security. Third would be love and belonging, your relationships, your intimacy, aka your OnlyFans stuff. 4 is typically that esteem category, so respect and recognition. Finally, at the top, self-actualization. That includes your purpose and your fulfillment and your greater reasons of being. Most people don't get that high. They target the lower level of needs. In fact, most people often stop at love and belonging, and that's why intimacy sells faster than self-development. But if you tie higher level outcomes like development to lower level things on the pyramid, you're going to find ways to sell. Andrew Tate preaches about self-development and being the best strong man you can be, for instance. But he does that by tying being strong to being able to protect yourself, which is lower and tied to security and safety, so he can sell and market it more. For example, talking about how a man should easily be able to provide basic needs for himself and scale quickly covers the physiological and focuses content on that. So if you find a way to tie your niche to the lower level outcomes, you're gonna dominate. Now let's pivot one last time. How do you convince people of this fact, that their needs are actually what your product is filling? Well, here's the sales hack most people miss. Shut up and listen. If you're in a meeting, stop pitching. Start asking questions. Why? Because the best salesmen don't convince people. That gap, you're letting them fill and convince themselves. Psychologists call this the self-generation effect. People are more likely to act on ideas they articulate themselves. Ask the right questions. Get them to say verbally, ideally, out loud what they need. If you're on social media, get them to comment and engage, because even if they aren't interested, the algorithm's still gonna push it out further to people that are, if they are engaging. Influence isn't given. It is earned, and it takes work to earn it. What I'm telling you will create shortcuts toward that. But at the end of the day, influence is earned by consistently solving emotional needs. When your message aligns with the emotions, when your offer justifies the cost, and when you solve the pain points, the deal becomes a no-brainer, and the money is simple. A lot of times it makes complete sense for them to pay you. You can market anything if you can find the right emotional angle to swing it. This isn't magic, it's just psychology backed by science. So, what's your next move? Well, start with what you already have. Whatever business you want to do, start creating content around what you think will be fastest to monetize. You want to start that cycle of fame building money and money building fame. But here's the problem. Every day you wait, you lose momentum. And every day you start and continue, you gain momentum. So the quicker you can figure this out and get started is the biggest help. You don't have to be perfect or have the perfect branding, because a lot of times you're gonna pivot 5 or 6 times, as I've done in different industries, to find what I really like. You can coach Fortnite or you can teach basketball training tips. Just start with something you're good at and put an offer out there. Because at the end of the day, it's gonna start gaining your reputation and your fame, and you can always pivot that into other industries. As well as that, be the person behind the camera. Share your personality and share emotions that people can have a bond with you for. That's gonna make it easier for them to connect when you try to tie in emotional triggers later. Finally, align your message with the emotions that you want your audience to feel. Which of these feelings are going to be the most impactful and most appropriate for your message to get it sold? Or how can you lower it on that hierarchy? And finally, get started today. Go down and find that link for the Ascend Collective and join the free community with resources to help you figure out your life and connect with people that are doing the same thing. This is honestly a no-brainer. Initially, your motivation is gonna be high because you're excited about this, but it's gonna fade off when you get into it. And you need a community of people that will back your cause, so until you make your first few dollars, you have that energy every day. Eventually the discipline will come in and replace it, but why not have the best community of people targeting this to support you on your journey? Because you'll have to do this at some point anyway, for whatever business you get into. The world doesn't wait for anyone. It's gonna reward the bold. Cut the noise, find your message, turn your camera on, and get to fucking work. Turn your ideas into action and start building your empire.